where we uncover the hidden betrayals, emotional battles, and shocking truths that unfold behind closed doors. Today's story begins with what seems like a flawless marriage, one that slowly unravels into a tangled web of desire, temptation, and regret. My name is Vanessa, and this is my story. From the outside, my life appeared picture perfect. At 30, I was married to my husband, Brian, for 5 years. We lived in a lovely suburban home, shared similar hobbies, and people often told us we were the kind of couple others envied. But beneath that polished surface, something inside me had begun to ache. Life had settled into a rhythm that was safe, too safe, and I couldn't ignore the quiet emptiness growing in my heart. Everything changed the day Brian's nephew, Lucas, came to stay with us for a while. Brian was stuck at work and asked me to pick him up from the bus station. I remember sitting in the lobby, scrolling through my phone, when I saw him approaching. Tall, confident, with a smile that could light up a room. He looked nothing like Brian. My heart skipped in a way it hadn't in years. We exchanged greetings, and as I drove us home, he talked about his adventures as a travel blogger. He had just returned from Japan, and the passion in his voice drew me in completely. For the first time in so long, I felt awake, alive, hanging on to every word. That evening, as the three of us sat down to dinner, I couldn't ignore how our eyes met across the table. Each glance carried a spark I didn't dare name. Afterward, Brian suggested we play cards, but I claimed to be tired and went to bed early. Lying there in the quiet, I tried to untangle the storm of feelings inside me. I knew it was wrong to feel this way about Lucas, yet I couldn't stop myself. The life I had with Brian suddenly felt dull and distant, like a dream I was slowly waking up from. Compared to the rush of emotions I was feeling, my life with Brian seemed distant and dull. Over the next few days, I began noticing little signs. Fleeting glances when Lucas thought I wasn't watching, the way his hand would brush against mine and linger just a moment too long. The energy between us was magnetic, and resisting it felt harder with each passing day. One evening, while Brian was working late, Lucas suggested we play pool together. I laughed and told him I didn't really know how, and he grinned, offering to teach me. As he stood behind me, guiding my arms and placing his hands gently on my waist, my breath caught. Every nerve in my body seemed to awaken as his breath grazed my neck. When I turned to look at him, our eyes met, and then his lips were on mine. The kiss was like fire, dangerous yet impossible to resist, igniting something I had long buried inside me. That single moment shattered the wall I'd tried to build. Days turned into weeks, and our secret connection deepened in ways I hadn't expected. Our walks outside were filled with lingering touches, secret smiles, and quiet conversations that left my heart racing. I tried to convince myself it was just a harmless spark, a passing attraction. But deep down, I knew my heart was slowly drifting away from Brian and toward Lucas. One night, while we were cooking dinner together, Lucas leaned in close and confessed softly, "I know this is wrong, but I can't stop thinking about you." My pulse quickened as I whispered back, "Me neither." When we kissed again, it carried the weight of everything we stood to lose. Our guilt, our longing, our silence. I kept telling myself it would fade, that it was only temporary, but I knew it wasn't. Then came the day that changed everything. Brian had left early for work, and I decided to take a long shower, hoping the water might wash away the confusion in my mind. As I stood there, surrounded by steam and memories of every stolen touch, I suddenly heard the bathroom door creak open. Open. My heart froze. Before I could even move, the shower curtain slid back. And there he was. Lucas stood there, his eyes locked on mine with an intensity that rooted me in place. "Lucas, what are you doing?" I whispered, my voice trembling with shock and something far more dangerous. He didn't answer immediately. He just looked at me, a look filled with everything he'd been holding back. And in that silent moment, something inside me broke. The temptation I'd been fighting for weeks surged through me, and I stopped resisting. The walls I'd built around my heart collapsed completely. From that moment, everything began to spiral faster than I could control. Each stolen kiss, each secret meeting carried more risk, yet I couldn't stay away. Around Brian, I smiled, laughed, and pretended nothing had changed. But inside, guilt clawed at me while desire burned just as fiercely. It didn't take long before Brian started to sense the truth. One morning, he confronted me, holding out my phone with a message from Lucas displayed on the screen. His hands shook, his face tight with anger and disbelief. "What's going on, Vanessa?" he demanded, his voice breaking. I tried to lie, to twist the truth, but the look in his eyes told me he already knew. The life I had built was cracking apart, and there was no stopping it. The breaking point came one evening when Lucas and I met near the river, believing we were alone. For the first time in days, I felt light, free even. We sat close, his hand wrapped around mine, and when he kissed me, the world seemed to fade away. But as I opened my eyes, my breath caught. Standing just a few feet away was Brian. His face was twisted with pain, fury, and disbelief. "Vanessa." "Lucas!" he shouted, his voice echoing across the water. "How could you do this to me?" There was no hiding, no excuse, no way to undo what he had seen. That night, Brian threw us both out of the house without another word. With nowhere else to go, Lucas and I found a small, empty apartment, a place that felt more like punishment than freedom. Rundown townhouse in a rough part of the city. I told myself it didn't matter, that as long as Lucas and I were together, we could make it work. But reality hit harder than I ever imagined. Life wasn't romantic anymore. I had to find a job just to keep us afloat. Bills piled up, arguments began, and the man I thought I had sacrificed everything for started to change before my eyes. At first, Lucas tried to be supportive, but soon the warmth in his voice disappeared. The spark that once drew us together faded into silence and indifference. The love that had once felt unstoppable now felt heavy and hollow. Then, one afternoon, I came home to find him standing by the door with a suitcase. My heart dropped. He looked at me, guilt shadowing his face, and said, "Vanessa, I can't keep doing this. I never meant for this to go this far. This wasn't supposed to last." His words tore through me like glass. I had given up my marriage, my home, my sense of self, all for a man who never truly wanted a future with me. A few weeks later, the final blow came. Divorce papers from Brian. I sat there staring at them, realizing how far I had fallen. I was alone, broken, and ashamed, forced to face the truth that every choice I made had led me here. Everything I thought I wanted had vanished, leaving only regret and silence. But time, as it always does, began to heal. I moved to a new town, started over, and little by little, I rebuilt the pieces of my life. The pain didn't disappear completely. Betrayal leaves a mark that never truly fades. But I found strength I didn't know I had. Love is complicated.